My name is Amelia Carter. I'm 29 years old, and I thought I knew everything about love until I discovered that my husband was still married to my sister. Yes. My own blood. The girl I grew up with. The one who held my hand at our mother's funeral. The one who helped me pick my wedding dress. And yet, somehow, she was living a lie so cruel, so twisted, that it shattered every part of who I thought I was. Let me take you back to where it all began. Where my dream life started becoming a nightmare. I met Derek Whitmore when I was 25. He was charming. 6 feet 2 inches, athletic, sharp jawline, the kind of man who walks into a room and owns it. But what truly disarmed me was the way he listened. As if my voice was the only one that mattered. We met at a gallery opening in downtown Chicago. He was there by accident, or so he claimed. Later I would learn nothing about Derek happened by accident. He was always calculating. By the 3rd date, I was in love. By the 5th, I was telling my sister, Maya, about him. I still remember her face when I showed her his photo. She stared at it for a little too long. She laughed it off, said he looked like someone she used to know in college, and then changed the subject. I wish I had pushed her then. I wish I had paid more attention to that flicker of tension in her eyes. But love makes you blind. And when you're happy, you don't want to believe in shadows. Derek proposed to me in Paris. It was a fairy tale moment. Eiffel Tower glowing behind us, soft music playing, and him on one knee with a sapphire ring I never knew I wanted until I saw it on my finger. We were married 6 months later in a small vineyard in Napa Valley. Maya was my maid of honor. She gave a toast that made everyone cry. She called me her other half, her ride or die, the only person who never judged her. Now those words taste like poison. For the first year, married life felt perfect. We traveled. Laughed. Built a little startup together. But around our 2nd anniversary, things started to shift. Derek became distant. He traveled more, answered fewer calls, started locking his phone. When I asked if something was wrong, he always kissed my forehead and said, "Work stress, babe. I'm doing this for us." I wanted to believe him. I needed to. Until one night, when everything began to crack. It was Maya's 31st birthday. She threw a huge party at her new condo uptown. Derek couldn't come. He said he had a client meeting in Milwaukee. Fine. I stayed late, helped Maya clean up after everyone left. That's when I noticed a watch on her kitchen counter. A men's watch. Derek's watch. The same silver fossil I had gifted him last Christmas, engraved with Forever, A+D. I picked it up. My heart slammed against my chest. I turned to Maya. She froze. Just for a second. But I saw it. That flash of panic. She laughed, forced and sharp, and said, "Oh, that? No way. Derek must have left it here last month when you both came over, remember? But we hadn't been to her condo together in months. And I never told her about the engraving. I didn't sleep that night. Something in me had shifted. Like a veil was lifting. The next morning, while Derek was in the shower, I took his phone. He had changed his password again. But I knew his patterns. He used birthdays. I tried Maya's. It unlocked. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely scroll. But I found them, texts. Dozens. From Maya. To Derek. Some innocent. Some not. Some explicit. But what shattered me completely were the saved documents in his gallery. A scanned marriage license. Derek Whitmore. Maya Carter. Married, October 12, 2017. That was 1 year before I met him. I sat there staring at the screen, my stomach lurching. Was it fake? A prank? No. It was real. Stamped. Signed. Certified. And suddenly, everything clicked. Maya's hesitation when I showed her Derek's photo. Her over-the-top toast at our wedding. The way she never dated anyone seriously since I married him. They weren't exes. They were still married. I confronted him that night. He stared at me, eyes blank, like a wall had come down behind them. And then, calmly, like he was discussing the weather, he said, "You weren't supposed to find out." I slapped him. I screamed. I begged for an explanation. He said Maya and he had been separated, emotionally over, but legally, yes, still married. But the texts told another story. And then he said something that made my blood run cold. She knew. Maya knew you'd never check. She said you trusted her too much. And she was right. I left. I went straight to Maya's. She opened the door, looking sleepy, like none of this mattered. I held up the photo of the marriage certificate. How long? I whispered. She didn't deny it. Didn't even look surprised. She just said, "You were always the favorite, Amelia. I just wanted something you couldn't steal." My world collapsed that night. But that was just the beginning. Because what I discovered next was even worse. I couldn't breathe. I stood in my sister's apartment, staring at the woman I once trusted more than anyone in the world, and I didn't recognize her anymore. Her words still echoed like a scream in a silent room. "You were always the favorite, Amelia. I just wanted something you couldn't steal." Like I was the thief. Like I was the villain. I left her apartment shaking, numb. My hands trembled on the steering wheel the entire way home, heart pounding so loud I couldn't even hear the traffic. That night, I didn't sleep. Not a second. I stared at the ceiling, wondering how two people I loved could destroy me so silently. How long had they been lying? Were they laughing behind my back this whole time? I thought of the wedding photos. Maya standing beside me, holding my bouquet, smiling so wide. Was that her revenge? Standing there, knowing she was still his legal wife while I walked down the aisle? I needed answers. But more than that, I needed truth. And deep down, I knew this went deeper than just betrayal. The next morning, I called my father. He and I weren't very close. After Mom passed away when I was 17, he distanced himself from both of us emotionally. Maya and I only had each other. At least, that's what I believed. When he picked up, his voice was groggy. He lived alone in Arizona now. I didn't sugarcoat it. Dad, did you know Maya was married to Derek before I was? The silence on the other end told me everything before he even spoke. Amelia. I didn't think it mattered anymore. She told me they'd split. That it was over. She swore she'd handle it. So you knew? I whispered. I didn't know she never filed for divorce, he replied, voice cracking. She lied to me too. But I wasn't sure I believed him. Too many people were fooled, too many conveniently silent. Later that day, I visited the county clerk's office. I needed something real. Legal. Not just screenshots. I requested a copy of Derek and Maya's marriage certificate. The clerk tapped away on her keyboard, then raised an eyebrow. There's no record of a divorce filed under either name. So, they're still legally married? She nodded. Yes. Since 2017. No dissolution, no annulment. I felt dizzy. So that meant my marriage to Derek? Illegal. Invalid. A lie. I went home and opened our wedding album. I looked at every photo, every caption. Then I looked at our marriage certificate, the one I signed with Derek in 2020. And a terrible thought crossed my mind. If he was still married to Maya, then our certificate would be invalid. Fraudulent. He knew that. He knew. I grabbed the certificate and drove straight to a lawyer. His name was Mr. Grant, and he looked like the kind of man who'd been fighting divorce wars longer than I'd been alive. He reviewed the documents, shaking his head slowly. This isn't just betrayal, Ms. Carter. It's criminal. Your husband committed bigamy, knowingly marrying you while already legally married. What does that mean for me? It means your marriage isn't legally binding. But it also means you may have grounds for a civil lawsuit, emotional damages, fraud, financial manipulation. And Maya? He sighed. If she was aware of the fraud and enabled it, she could also be held accountable. My stomach turned. But it didn't stop there. I decided to check the startup Derek and I had built together. He handled most of the financials, taxes, accounts, clients. I hadn't paid attention. I trusted him. But when I logged into our business bank account, it was nearly empty. Only $1,700 left. We had over $60,000 just 2 months ago. I opened the statements. Large wire transfers, gone. To accounts I didn't recognize. One was under a company name I'd never heard of. I Googled it. It was registered in Maya's name. I froze. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a con. They hadn't just lied about their relationship. They had planned this. Marry me under false pretenses. Start a company in my name. Drain it. And leave me with nothing but broken memories and an empty apartment. I sat on my couch for hours, staring at the wall. I kept thinking about our honeymoon. The way Derek held me in Santorini, whispering promises under the stars. The way he looked at me when I cried over silly things. The way Maya used to braid my hair when I was sad as a child. Was any of it ever real? I didn't know who I was angry at more. Him, for being a liar. Her, for betraying her own blood. Or myself, for being so easily fooled. But then something happened. Around midnight, I got a call. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. But then it called again. And again. I finally answered. A woman's voice, trembling, anxious. Amelia? You don't know me, but I think I'm married to Derek too. I think I'm married to Derek too. Those words crashed into me like a wave of cold water. I blinked at my phone, not sure if I'd heard correctly. I'm sorry, who is this? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The woman hesitated. Her voice shook. My name's Riley Monroe. I live in Austin. I met Derek in 2018. We got married in 2019. And I just found your number in some old emails, hidden in a folder marked legal. My heart dropped. Another woman? Another marriage? I couldn't breathe. Wait, I said. You're saying you're legally married to him? Right now? I don't know, she whispered. I thought we were divorced, but now I'm not sure. He left suddenly 2 years ago and said he was going overseas. He never came back. I thought he just moved on. Moved on? He didn't move on. He moved in with me. I asked Riley to email me everything, their wedding certificate, photos, any documents. Within 20 minutes, they were in my inbox. The certificate was real. Dated August 2019. He married her 10 months before marrying me. And 2 years after marrying Maya. 3 marriages. No divorces. No honesty. Just a trail of broken women and forged love stories. I collapsed onto the floor, numb. I didn't even cry anymore. My body had stopped producing tears. Instead, I started thinking like a survivor, like a strategist. If Derek had done this to me, Maya, and Riley, how many more were there? I called my lawyer, Mr. Grant, the next morning. We're dealing with a serial fraud, I told him. He didn't just marry me illegally. He's done it multiple times. There's another woman. Possibly more. He was quiet for a moment. Then we need to build a case. Fast. He advised me to file a formal police report for bigamy and fraud. Freeze all shared business accounts. File a civil lawsuit against both Derek and Maya. And gather every piece of evidence I could. I was done playing the victim. I would fight this, not just for me, but for every woman he used and left behind. I messaged Riley again. You're not alone. I'm building a case. Would you be willing to speak to my lawyer? She agreed. But what she said next made my skin crawl. There's something else. A woman messaged me 2 years ago. Said her name was Clara. She claimed Derek ruined her life. I ignored her then, but maybe you should find her. Clara. Another name. Another life shattered? I started digging. Social media was no help. Derek never posted publicly. No Facebook. His Instagram was clean, all travel and fake smiles. But when I typed Derek Whitmore scam into a Reddit search bar, a thread popped up. He stole my money and disappeared. Don't trust this man. Posted by Clarity92. 3 years ago. My heart pounded. I messaged her. She replied in 10 minutes. Clara was 33, from Denver. She had been engaged to Derek in 2016, before he married Maya. He promised her a life together, convinced her to invest $40,000 in a real estate deal. Then he vanished. She never saw a penny, or him, again. I now had 4 victims. 4 women. 4 lives torn apart by the same man. We created a private group chat. Each of us shared timelines, documents, photos, proof. And with every file, the truth became clearer. Derek was a predator. A charming, well-dressed, well-spoken con artist with a formula. He targeted women in transition, grieving, recovering, rebuilding. He sold them dreams. Promised forever. Then took what he wanted and left. But with me, he stayed too long. I sent everything to Mr. Grant. He was stunned. This isn't just a civil matter anymore. We're talking multiple counts of bigamy, fraud, identity theft, and financial exploitation. He could serve real prison time. And that's when I made my next move. I reached out to a journalist. Her name was Camila Hart, an investigative reporter who specialized in uncovering emotional fraud and romantic scams. I sent her our case, all 4 women's stories, all the documents. She responded with one line. I want to tell your story. All of it. I told the other women. We agreed, it was time to expose him. No more silence. No more shame. We filmed interviews. Shared every painful detail. The lies. The manipulation. The money. The fake weddings. Our emotional wreckage. Camila planned a full digital release, with evidence, timelines, photos, and public warnings. The article would drop in 2 weeks. And once it did, Derek wouldn't be able to hide again. But then something strange happened. One night, I received an email from an unknown account. Subject line, you don't know the full story. Attached was a video. No message. No name. I hesitated. Then clicked play. The footage was grainy, low quality, like it was taken from a hidden camera. Derek. Sitting in a dark restaurant booth. Across from Maya. And someone else. A man. Older. Bald. Wearing a gray suit. Maya looked angry. Derek looked scared. The man leaned forward and said something. I turned up the volume. He said, "You told me this was just a money job, Derek. But if your wife talks, all of this burns." And Derek replied, "I didn't know she'd dig this deep. She wasn't supposed to. She was just the cover." The cover? What did that mean? What exactly was this about? I watched the clip 5 times. Who was that man? Why was Maya involved? What did they mean by money job? This wasn't just betrayal anymore. This wasn't even just fraud. It was something bigger. Something organized. I called Riley. I think we're missing a piece. Something bigger. Something deeper. She sounded terrified. You don't think this is, like, a ring? Like a group? I wasn't sure. But deep in my gut, I knew one thing. This wasn't over. And someone, maybe more than one, was still watching me. After watching that hidden video, I couldn't sleep. Derek calling me just the cover kept playing on a loop in my mind. Who was that man? What was Maya involved in? And why did this feel like something far more dangerous than just a romantic scam? I sent the video to my lawyer, Mr. Grant, and the journalist, Camila. Both were shocked. Mr. Grant called me within the hour. That man, he said slowly, looks like Russell Dean. He's been on the FBI's radar for years, suspected of running corporate identity scams and shell companies. Never been arrested. Always uses people like Derek as pawns. A cold chill ran down my spine. So Maya and Derek were working for him? More likely, he said, Maya was the link. Derek was the face. You were the distraction. The legally clean name they needed to move money through without raising flags. And it all clicked. The startup. The bank accounts in my name. The shady withdrawals. I wasn't just the wife. I was the front. Mr. Grant called in a federal contact. Within 48 hours, 2 agents came to speak with me at his office. I told them everything. Showed them everything. The fake marriages. The company. The video. They were already investigating Russell Dean, but I was the missing puzzle piece. The one who'd never been caught in the web until now, because I wasn't part of it. Just their unwilling mask. The agents opened an official case. I became a key witness. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt something close to hope. Camila's exposé dropped the next day. The women he left behind, inside the web of a serial bigamist and his secret empire. It went viral in less than 24 hours. Thousands of shares. Dozens of women came forward in the comments. Some had dated Derek. Some had worked with Maya. Some had lost money in companies linked to Russell Dean. And the best part? Maya and Derek couldn't hide anymore. Their faces were plastered across every screen. The video of their secret meeting was embedded in the article. Every document, every receipt, all public. The FBI had what they needed. A week later, Derek was arrested at a hotel in Miami. He was trying to leave the country under a fake name, Daniel Wiles. He had 3 burner phones, a suitcase full of cash, and a passport from a shell country I'd never even heard of. He didn't resist. In fact, he smiled for the cameras. Like it was all a game. Like he never thought it would catch up to him. Maya's arrest came 2 days later. She was picked up outside a high-end spa in San Francisco, wearing designer sunglasses, holding a latte, like she hadn't just committed felony-level fraud. I watched the footage of her being handcuffed. No tears. No begging. Just that same cold, bitter expression I saw the night I confronted her. Like she was disappointed she didn't win. The trial began 3 months later. It was long. Exhausting. But I showed up every day. So did Riley. And Clara. And the other women. We sat in the front row. We told our stories. We looked Derek and Maya in the eyes and reminded them that we weren't just names on paper. We were real. We were hurt. And we were no longer afraid. The verdict? Guilty. On all counts. Bigamy. Wire fraud. Identity theft. Financial conspiracy. Derek was sentenced to 27 years in federal prison. Maya got 14. Russell Dean? Disappeared. Vanished the night before his warrant went public. The FBI believes he had offshore identities prepared for a moment like this. But they promised they'd keep chasing. After the trial, I sat alone in the courtroom. Empty now. Just me and the echoes of everything I'd survived. Mr. Grant sat beside me. "You did it, Amelia," he said quietly. "You stopped them." I nodded. But I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. Worn. But at peace. And in a strange, full-circle way, grateful. Because their betrayal had broken me, but also awakened me. I was no longer naive. No longer passive. I was a woman who had rebuilt herself from the ashes of lies. Today, I run a nonprofit. The Cover Club. It helps women who've been used in financial scams, emotional abuse, and digital fraud. Riley and Clara are both part of the board. We speak at conferences. We give workshops. We make noise, so no woman ever feels as alone as we did. And Derek? He sends letters from prison. Pages and pages. Apologies. Regrets. Please. I never respond. Because his words mean nothing now. The only justice I ever needed was silence. And Maya? She wrote me once. Just one line. "I never wanted to destroy you. I just didn't want to be invisible anymore." I read it once. Then burned it. Because the truth is, I don't care about her reasons. I only care about the woman I became in the aftermath. Stronger. Smarter. Wiser. Free. My name is Amelia Carter. I was betrayed. I was used. But I survived. And in the end, I got my justice. So did every woman who dared to speak. And that, to me, is the most powerful revenge of all. End arrow.